Sorry, guys. Really need like flashing lights or something if you're muted. And this is all because like I like during the intermission I don't want anyone to hear me like clearing. Okay, all right. Well, you can hear me now. So anyway, I, I guess that beautiful intro I just had was just lost to the ages. So yeah, sorry guys. Really need like flashing lights or something if you're muted. And this is all because like I like during the intermission I don't want anyone to hear me like clearing my throat or making embarrassing noises. But really quickly, just to kind of briefly sum what I said in the beginning. If you guys are half as excited as I am about this match tonight, you guys are very excited about this. This is a rematch of the grand finals of the first season of Chair League between Snipe Squad and Shadow Brotherhood. Both these teams are extremely strong. They both came into Chair League about the midway point in the season, went undefeated. Shadow Brotherhood went 6-0 in the regular season. They were actually the first ones to knock off, I believe, Squirtle Squad. And then Snipe Squad came in a little bit later. They went 4-0. But both these teams went into the grand finals undefeated, not having dropped in a one match during the entire season. And then Snipe Squad ended up taking the finals 2-0. So I think that about sums it up. The rest was just filler, just waiting for the lobbies to get ready. But this is very interesting. So the draft is now underway. Snipe Squad has decided to pick KT. Decided to ban him out first. So that is very interesting. In pretty much every Hero League match, and even the earlier drafts that we've seen this week, even after the patches, still Illidan and Li Ming are pretty much banned out immediately. But despite their nerfs, but this could have been a trick by Snipe Squad to pick up Li Ming. Probably didn't want to ban out one of the two top heroes, so they would ensure that they at least get one of them. So maybe they chose to ban out KT, not because he's super OP, but maybe they just wanted to ensure they got either Li Ming or Illidan. But Li Ming is going to be picked up first by Snipe Squad. Oh my god. And I have my phone up so that I can actually see like what I'm streaming, but unfortunately I don't have the volume up on it. But okay, so in about 30 seconds, I should see the actual draft come up on my phone. Should be all good here. Okay. I assume we're good. So Li Ming is banned out by Snipe Squad. But Illidan is picked up by Shadow Brotherhood, so it's funny, like last week we probably would have seen both of these banned out, but either because these are seasoned pro teams who know how to draft, or due to a shift in the meta, we actually see them both being picked up here super early. So we do see Illidan and Tassadar. That's a very powerful combination. Might see Mfu on Tassadar, and then let's see, maybe Chrysilo on Illidan, but Illidan and Tassadar is just such a powerful combination, but unfortunately, he's going to have to run through the brick wall of Muradin if he wants to do any kind of damage. So Muradin, he's a really great tank to go against Illidan. Not only can he stun him for an extremely long time to stop his trait from going off to heal him, but he also has, with his W, he can slow down Illidan's auto attacks, so not only is Illidan doing less damage because he's attacking more slowly, but that also hurts his ability to heal and self-sustain in fights, and that's actually something that got nerfed with him in the recent patch, so between those two things, he could really have some trouble staying alive, even with Tassadar supporting him. But we do see Rhaegar banned out by Shadow Brotherhood, so I do think that's smart. Snipe Squad, they already have a lot of damage, they already have their tank, but they have not picked up a support. So I do think banning out Rhaegar is a wise choice. Now, Snipe Squad, they could ban out another support, possibly. They could ban out a warrior. They can even maybe ban out Zagara here. We're already either 8 picks or bans in, and no sign of Zagara anywhere. And this is an incredibly strong map for her. It's such a, but it's actually Johanna that's banned out. Interesting. That's not something I totally understand. Johanna is her blind is really good against auto attackers, and I don't see anyone who's like really a strong auto attacker on Snipe Squad. But Tyrande is picked up by Shadow Brotherhood, and this does seem to be a staple of both teams. Both teams really seem to enjoy their Tyrande, which, as someone with a level 20 Tyrande, someone who's played way too much Tyrande, I can really appreciate. But both teams really favor Tyrande, really favor Muradin, really favor Tassadar. I wonder if we even might see a Diablo here. This is such a small map. It's very easy to rotate and get ganks. And it's actually going to be ETC. Interesting. So Sonya could interrupt Mosh Pit. Muradin could interrupt Mosh Pit. And then Li Ming, she could interrupt it if she really wanted to by taking Wave of Force, but pretty much as long as she's outside of the Mosh Pit, she can really make ETC's life miserable. As long as she just throws her Arcane Orb along with the magic missiles and possibly Disintegrate on top of that, ETC is going to eat a whole ton of damage. But it's actually going to be Sylvanas picked up for Snipe Squad. So, yet another interrupt for Mosh Pit. I mean, she could go Wailing Arrow and interrupt it that way, but at this point, I don't think they're too concerned about dealing with Mosh Pit. I think they have more than enough counters. They might be looking to go Mind Control with her and just pick off someone like possibly Tyrande who doesn't have an escape. Just Mind Control her, walk her into the team, and then pick her off. But this is also an incredibly strong map for Sylvanas. Her trait prevents towers and forts from attacking, and that allows the spiders to push. That allows their push to just be incredibly strong. Any lane that pushes with Sylvanas is really going to get a lot done. But still, one more needs to be picked up for Snipe Squad. Support is what I expected. I mean, they don't have one, but they go with Brightwing. I don't know if this is the strongest map for Brightwing, but I do think that's a smart pickup. I think Brightwing is a great counter to Illidan. Basically, I guess anyone who dives. Okay, look at my phone to make sure you guys can see the draft and everything. I think we're all good. But yeah, basically anyone who dives, Illidan and Sonya, Brightwing can just turn him into a piggy, turn him into a squirrel, and then not only are they deeply out of position and not doing any damage, but they're also not self-healing. They can't attack, and therefore they can't trigger their trait to make sure that their health goes back up. So they really get picked off and can really get blown up. But finally, it is going to be Falstad picked up by Shadow Brotherhood. So if there was a patch that came out on Tuesday that made balance changes, you couldn't tell it from this draft. Still Li Ming, still Illidan, still Falstad picked. So. But yeah, so who do I give this draft to? I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. I think these are both very good drafts. I would say that I do think the Illidan Tassadar combo is going to be countered pretty heavily. I do think ETC could be countered pretty heavily by all the stuns and interrupts that Snipe Squad has, but I still think Falstad can do some work. I think I'm going to give the draft to Snipe Squad. I do think they drafted stronger. I think they have so many counters to what Shadow Brotherhood wants to do. Shadow Brotherhood still has Falstad, who is not really countered by anything they're doing, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get the job done. But here we go, and we are getting underway. So it is going to be Peneth on Brightwing, Enjoy on Li Ming, Castle Bravo on Sonya, Diamond on Sonya, and Tommy Shark on Muradin. Guess no Rafflecopter today. But Chrissy Lowe is going to be on Tyrande, Squirrel on Falstad, All Stars on Illidan, Justin G on ETC, and Genre on Tassadar. A lot of new faces on these teams from last season. It's kind of funny, on the cheerleague page for Snipe Squad, they have someone on the team listed as not Rafflecopter, so I am definitely amused by that, definitely tricked by that. I do like the amount of vision that Shadow Brotherhood has. They have Tassadar, they have Tyrande, who can give a lot of vision to both Falstad and Illidan, who can jump in at a moment's notice and basically stop turn-ins. Harass the team, but... Alright guys, make some noise! This is game number 1! Well, don't make noise because we're not in an auditorium, we're not in a big arena, but I hope you guys are excited. I know I am. Let's see, anything we can infer from the talents? I think everything looks pretty standard. You know, they did change all the icons recently, so that's not making my life any easier.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But we are going to see 5 men in the middle from Shadow Brotherhood, whereas only 4 from Snipe Squad. The owl goes out, so I think they know where Sonya is. I think they know what kind of situation they're walking into. Yeah, I think they know because it's 5-on-4. Tassadar are going to do a little bit of poking on the tower, and he can do it safely. Stormbolt comes out from Tommy Shark just to let him know, hey, I know you're there. I'm not going to put up with any of your shenanigans. But it's looking like Sonya and Illidan probably going to stay in the bottom lane, while we're probably going to have a 4-man rotation from the rest. You know, I think the wave clear is going to be superior on the side of Snipe Squad. So I think they might have an easier time doing these rotations. They can clear out the waves more quickly, and then focus on harassing Shadow Brotherhood off of collecting gems. So yeah, we are going to see an owl build out of Tyrande. I really like that build. Not only does it help her be a better healer, but it also rewards skill. But it's looking like Shadow Brotherhood trying to poke in a little bit there, despite being outnumbered, despite being low. But I suppose they're lucky that Snipe Squad didn't jump on them for that. So we still have Illidan and Sonya in the bottom lane. It looks like Illidan winning that fight. But Justin G, little deep, maybe in a little bit of trouble. Oh, and he is in a lot of trouble, and he is going to fall. I thought he would get out of there, but maybe, I suppose Power Slide was on cooldown. But look at how low everyone is on Shadow Brotherhood. I mean, that's not even counting ETC, who actually fell, but they're not having an easy time in this 4-man rotation in the mid and top lane. Well, it's looking like they're making an aggressive move on Sonya. She's not going to fall, but Chrissy Lowe is going to fall on Tyrande, as well as Illidan. So the gank did not happen. In fact, the counter gank came down from Snipe Squad, and they are going to fall. So already we see a half-level lead, a big lead on the gems. No one's turned in a single gem yet, but because of all the deaths, because of all the gems dropped as a result, 16 more gems on the side of Snipe Squad, so off to a pretty big start. And this is a map where if you get off to a hot start and things start snowballing in your favor, it can be really hard to come back. But Shadow Brotherhood, they're doing a very good job of denying turn-ins. Tassadar is a character who excels in that. I believe it's Psionic Storm is his name, but Illidan dives, gets turned into a little sheep, but manages to get out of there. Great job by Chrissy Lowe and Genre keeping him up. I thought he was a goner for sure, but managed to get out of there. But I feel like at this point, all they're kind of doing is delaying the inevitable. They're slowly stopping Snipe Squad from turning in, but I don't think they're stopping them completely. But Lunar Flare goes out on Castle Bravo, along with the Alt. There's so many tools on the side of Shadow Brotherhood to deny a turn-in, but I don't think they can keep that forever. Everything they're doing is costing mana, and all it's doing is delaying a turn-in. I don't think they're gonna be able to do that forever. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. All Stars with a hard engage, but will not pick up Sylvanas. But you know, Shadow Brotherhood, they have 5 people up here trying to deny the turn-in. Meanwhile, Sonya is down bottom. I guess Falstad probably swapped out with Illidan. I guess that's what happened. But despite all this poking, 1 gem away from Snipe Squad. And Falstad not going to let that happen in the bottom. And then the top one is pretty heavily guarded. But both teams pretty even on XP. So no one's really fallen all that behind, but we do see the first web weavers of the game come down for Snipe Squad. Someone managed to sneak one in there. Maybe Sonya. But Squirrel is in some trouble, but he manages to barrel roll out of there. He is just fine. But it's looking like this is going to be a 5-man push because Right Wing is coming in here. But as I said before, this could have been when my microphone was muted, but pushes with Sylvanas, no, it wasn't. Pushes with Sylvanas are incredibly strong on this map. She disables the towers, so they end up not damaging the web weavers, and you get so much more value out of them. So I believe we've already seen the wall go down. No, I take that back. The wall is going down in the middle lane, and the wall is now going to go down in the top lane, and this still has half health. This is still going to do some work. Probably going to get the well. I don't think the fort's going to go down, but it's already been 4 towers, and I think the fort's going to go down too. And if they get the fort, they're going to pick up level 10, and they're going to have a giant advantage, yeah. Level 10 now picked up. Going to be Avatar for Muradin, Wrath for Sonya. It is going to be Wailing Arrow for Sylvanas. Thought we might see a Mind Control, just to really pick someone off, but still going to be a Wailing Arrow. And then, of course, Disintegrate for Li Ming. Guess they weren't worried about having an extra mosh pit counter, which I think makes sense. So Shadow Brotherhood, they are close to a turn-in of their own. They only need 29 more, and they have far more than that. Right Wing is guarding the bottom one. Gonna be difficult to get a turn in there. Yeah, and Genre on Tassadar manages to get a turn in on top, so now it's Shadow Brotherhood's turn. Let's see if they can answer Snipe Squad's push with a solid push of their own. So, because they don't have someone like Sylvanas on their team, they might want to split up and push in all 3 lanes. That way they're at least getting soaking from each of the lanes. And that can help them close the XP gap. But then again, they'll also do that if they take down some structures. But oh, a wonderful Dwarf Toss is done just in time to avoid the Lunar Flare. And Tommy Shark is going to survive. Really, really great plays on their part. Yeah, I mean, of course, he didn't land in front of the Force Wall, but hey, at least he lived. But Murdy going right back in there. He does have that shield from Brightwing on him. But an aggressive play from Squirrel. Flies over. Gus and Sonya is going to be picked off. So a really big play from Squirrel, and it pays off with a pick on Sonya. And, you know, I feel like this is the first time in the match where Shadow Brotherhood has some momentum on their side. They've gotten a pick, and they're going to get the second turn in a row. So, wow. Big turn of events for Shadow Brotherhood. And just like that, they're right back in this. And of course, because Mighty Gus probably wasn't nerfed enough, should be ready to go very shortly here. But they're gonna make a big push in the top lane. They've gotten the most important fort, which is this one, just because of the vision it provides. But the second most important lane to push is the top lane, because that is the lane that the boss will push in. So if they can get this fort and possibly start working on the keep wall, that is going to be hugely important. But they only have there's only a 4-man defense up here. Li Ming is dealing with the web weavers in the other lanes, so could maybe think about a hard engage by Shadow Brotherhood. But probably not going to. The opportunity is probably going for that because Li Ming, she's cleaning up the middle web weaver. She's going to be coming up, but Metamorphosis comes down from Illidan, but a gigantic Wailing Arrow comes down, stops any healing from going on, and Falstad ends up falling. Can't gust people away when you're silenced. So that was just a great Wailing Arrow from Castle Bravo. And, you know, just like when it was looking like Shadow Brotherhood had all the momentum going in their favor, just like that, the momentum has shifted again. And now, off that pick, off that possible overextension by Shadow Brotherhood, now Snipe Squad has turned in. And they have their sights set on the middle fort. So, the reason this middle fort is so important, it helps provide vision in this area where turn-ins are happening. And if you need to either do a turn-in or harass someone out of turning in, you have like this fort right here that you can go for safety. And if you take out this fort, teams have a lot of trouble poking at these turn-in areas safely. But that middle fort is going to fall, and now they're turning their attention to the bottom fort. But Mighty Gus goes down by Falstad, and looks like it is going to save him. But unfortunately, he's not going to be able to save the bottom fort, most likely. But we do see an aggressive flank going on. Justin G looking to come in and make a big play. But looks like Snipe Squad is going to get it out in time. Great teleport by Castle Bravo and Sylvanas. Great job getting out of there. So, great job by Snipe Squad. They managed to get out of there without getting picked. And that was a really solid push of them. They got this bottom fort, and they got the bottom fort, too. So, they're really doing a great job. But both teams are electing to grab the bruisers. These have already been picked up, and those will be picked up as well by Shadow Brotherhood. But both teams very close on structures. Snipe Squad has one additional fort up. And they do have a slight XP lead, but other than that, it is still very close. But it's looking like Shadow Brotherhood wants to sneak a boss. I think they might be able to do it. They already have it to 50%, and the majority of Snipe Squad is nowhere near a position where they can deal with it, even if they knew it. Murdy could maybe jump in there, but would probably get blown up, so yeah. A really aggressive shot call, and it paid off for Shadow Brotherhood. Very ballsy move. And because they already took down this top fort, it's going to go push on the keep wall. And they have enough for a turn-in, so they may be getting a free turn off of that. I think Tyrande must have a bunch of gems. Yeah. So they will need Chrissy Low to go turn in if they're... But the boss has been blown up, so the window of opportunity is lost. Force wall comes down from Tassadar to disengage. Although ETC, thinking you might want to be a little more aggressive. So both teams close to a turn-in. Shadow Brotherhood has enough, and they get it. Tyrande turned in at the bottom lane. So well done by Chrissy Low. Oops. So I'm really curious to see where Shadow Brotherhood decides to push. So far it's looking like they are deciding to push the middle lane. That is the frontmost web weaver. The top one is spawning a little further back, so. And this one is pushing on a keep, so hey, may as well. But it's looking like they are going to get this wall at least. Force wall goes out to box out Snipe Squad from putting some damage on the web weaver. They're probably going to get the well, too. The keep wells aren't all that important, but it's a nice thing to get. But they've pretty much done all they can do in the middle lane. I think they realized at the bottom for it, but a big power slide goes down by Justin G. No mosh pit. He might have gotten polymorph before you get it off, but they didn't manage to pick off Sonya, so... Really aggressive play. Once again, a really aggressive play, and it really pays off for them. And meanwhile, this bottom web weaver is still going. Don't think it's going to get any of the cannon towers. Of course, I take that back. It's looking like this one is going to go down. Tesla are in a bit of trouble. He may still have prescience up. In fact, did he take it? Yeah, he did. So he has that get out of jail free card. But power slide goes down by ETC, but nothing there in terms of follow up, no mosh pit. And they are going to make a very aggressive call. They are going to go ahead and steal this this camp. They definitely know what's happening. Brightwing, the reveal on her teleport showed that was going on, but without Sonya in the fight, not much they could do about it. But now an aggressive chase going on by a Snipe Squad. And meanwhile, we see All-Stars on Illidan with an aggressive flank. Might pick up Li Ming, and he does! So another kill for Shadow Brotherhood. And this is now a 5-on-4. And it's a big 5-on-4 because the big damage dealer on Snipe Squad is down, which is huge. And on top of that, Murden is awfully low. So they may be thinking about getting a keep here. They don't have enough for a turn-in. So an awful lot of posturing going down, a lot of poking, but finally they decided to be aggressive. They decided to get in there and finish off the keep. They may have seen Murden in the top lane and knew he was up there soaking, so they knew they could be a little bit more aggressive. So the first keep of the game goes down in favor of Shadow Brotherhood. But Falstad is going to go down. He is unfortunately going to get picked off. And now the chase is on. They have their sights set on Chrysilo, and they might get her. But big peel comes down from Justin G. Great job to keep her alive. The face melt and then the power slide to get out of there. Great job by him. Like that is textbook tank play. But Snipe Squad, they are deciding to go get the boss, and Shadow Brotherhood, they know this is happening thanks to the owl from Tyrande, but not sure they will be able to contest it. They're starting to rotate up here now, but they might be too late and might not have the numbers to get it. Yeah. And the boss is picked up by Snipe Squad. And on top of that, they have the dream. They not only have the boss pushing, but they also have the web weavers pushing too. So this could be devastating. The good news for Shadow Brotherhood, they almost have level 20, and Snipe Squad has a long way to go. So they are going to have this big Storm Tier talent advantage for at least a little bit here. But it might not matter because All-Stars is in a lot of trouble, but he manages to get out of there just in time. And he's going to go all the way back to the Hall of Storms. Well, not all the way back. It's like 3 steps away, but he's going to go get healed up. But this top keep is almost certainly going to go down. It still has the Web Weaver and the boss pushing on it. Very difficult to deal with. But Chrysilo in some trouble. And she is going to be able to get back just in time. But still the boss is pushing. The boss still has not been taken down. But someone is calling for retreat. Probably on Snipe Squad. They're not feeling they can end the game. Which I agree with. The Web Weaver was down. The boss was almost dead. But that was a very strong push on the side of Snipe Squad. The keep falls. The shields have been weakened on the core. They picked up level 20. Both teams are about even in terms of gems. Slight advantage on the side of Shadow Brotherhood. And I think Shadow Brotherhood, they know they're a little bit healthier. They were able to sit in the Hall of Storms, get all healed up. So I think they know they have the advantage here, and I think Snipe Squad realizes that too. They choose to back off. All-Stars choosing to farm up a little bit more gems. Take advantage of the situation. Well, I think Tyrande is probably showing in the bottom lane, and Snipe Squad realizes this. Tommy Shark goes in, but I think Shadow Brotherhood is going to be able to successfully disengage. Not sure if Gust is up. I would guess that it is because it's Gust and it's ridiculous. I think he probably just decided, I don't have to use it just yet. But now Tommy Shark may have gone out a little bit too far. Starfall comes down. Just something I haven't even touched on yet, but very interesting choice of heroics, which I think Tyrande can certainly do with Tassadar on the team. I think it's a smart pick, but Force Wall goes down to trap in Justin G, but puts out the mosh pit, but it gets immediately interrupted by Wailing Arrow from Sylvanas. So yeah, you know, I mean, kind of what I mentioned in the draft. There's so many counters to Mosh Pit, and we just saw one of them there, and after that 5-on-3, after that kill on ETC, Snipe Squad is a Scotty, and they want to go core, and I think they might get it, too. Now, Diamond is being heavily targeted, but I don't think they're going to be able to get her. Ooh, Diamond does end up falling. Tommy Shark awfully low on Muradin. I think they're going to have to back out here. I mean, the other three are low on Shadow Brotherhood, but they can't risk losing Muradin. They just can't. Now, what happened to Brightwing? How did you... Okay. Probably blinked to him, or... I don't know. Lost track of her. Lost track of the Fairy Dragon, but... So, they did do about 20% of the core, which is... It's not all that significant. If they were able to get it lower, they could threaten a backdoor, but... Only doing about 21% there. Probably not going to be able. It's not going to make any difference in a situation like that. But after that strong core defense, we now see the Web Weavers coming down for Shadow Brotherhood. So the middle keep is down for Snipe squads, so they could look to push hard there, or they could try and take out some of the other keeps. We'll have to see. If they think they can end, they'll probably go mid. But they can certainly end if they get a pick, which they might be looking to do. So that's why it has to be very careful. They don't know where they are. Okay, there we go. There we go. So that phase shift from Brightwing just revealed this little bush party that was happening there. So the attempt at that ambush was thwarted by the Fairy Dragon. But Starfall goes down, not going to get too much value out of it. It is going to hit the keep, but not too much other than that. Tommy Shark in some trouble though. He is very deep, and he is gonna fall. Ooh, he was out there a little too far. And a big Mighty Gust goes down by Falstad, pins Sonya against the keep. And thanks to Wind Tunnel, she is really pinned against there, but thanks to everyone else on Shadow Brotherhood being super low, not able to fully commit to that fight. But it looks like they are going to think about taking the camp. Okay, they decided to back off. Instead, they're deciding, no, let's get the even better camp. And they're going to go ahead and pick up the boss. And there's no one on Snipe Squad who can really tell for sure if they're there. They don't have anything like a Tyrande Owl, or... I guess that's probably the only thing. But they have no way of really telling where they are. So that boss is going to be picked out relatively uncontested. And the good news for Snipe Squad, the one keep they still have up is in the boss lane, so they're very fortunate to still, that is the keep that is still up for them. But Penneth gonna blink away. Going to get away from that Tyrael Illidan skin. It's an interesting skin for him, but Sylvanas was looking like she was maybe in a little bit of trouble, but thanks to her, I believe, level 13 talent, became unstoppable. Thwarted the stun meta, but Muradin in quite a bit of trouble, but he's going to pop Avatar, he's going to pop Stone Form, and going to heal up, no problem. But really in the middle, really taking a big beating, and I believe all his healing is up. Don't think there's anything he can do to recover any more health, but manages a Dwarf Toss out of there just in time. Big play by Squirrel. But the Mighty Gust is... Once again, we see an aggressive Mighty Gust by Squirrel. Really pins someone up against a wall or structure, but the rest of the team is just so low that they can't capitalize on it. But Shadow Brotherhood, they are eons away from another turn-in, whereas Snipe Squad, all I have to do is turn in 13 gems. That's right, I can do math. They have to turn in 13, and they have 23, so... But Sonya being really ballsy there, really trying to turn in, playing a game of chicken with Shadow Brotherhood. they decide to finally decide, you know what, we're not gonna just sit here and let you do this. We're gonna stop it. But they're just really being aggressive in this tournament. But Starfall goes down, and also a mosh pit. I don't know if he tried to do mosh pit on top of that and just got interrupted, but it seemed like Starfall going and then Power Slide mosh pit would have been a perfect thing. But Sprint goes down on Chrissy Lowe, so she motors her little knife out butt out of there. But finally, we do see a turn-in in the top lane. It may have been Enjoy on Li Ming. But the Web Weavers are going to push for Snipe Squad. They do have 2 keeps to push through. But Tommy Shark really getting caught out. Another big Mighty Gust goes down. Pinning someone weak against a structure. Not sure why he didn't go down. That seemed like a... I don't know. I almost for sure thought Tommy Shark would go down there. No one's really all that low on Shadow Brotherhood, so it's not like they had to be afraid. Maybe just their abilities were on cooldown. Who knows? It's a little much to all take in. But big Power Slide goes down on Diamond. But of course, ETC, as soon as he dives in, turned into a piggy, but doesn't matter. They end up picking off Muradin. And Sonya is in some trouble too, but the big shield from Brightway is going to keep her up a little bit longer, but ultimately she is going to fall, so 2 are down on Snipe Squad. Shadow Brotherhood, they might be thinking to end the game. They might just be thinking, you know what, to hell with that one Web Weaver. That's not a threat on the core. Let's just go end this. And they are doing that. And you know what? It's a base race. Snipe Squad is deciding, you know what? We probably can't stop you. Our only chance to win is to try and push with this one Web Weaver up here, but they are going to lose that race. First game is going to go over to Shadow Brotherhood. That's right, I can't do math, even while I'm casting. Yeah, so Shadow Brotherhood takes that first game. You know, even though there were all sorts of counters to Mosh Pit, and Mosh Pit wasn't really that much of a factor, they still managed to win that game. I feel like they weren't relying so much on the Mosh Pit. A lot of what this ETC did was just really great peeling. I mean, he just really did a fantastic job of making sure that he was a nice meat shield between him and all the squishies on the team. So, I mean, really great play by that ETC. And then, yeah, just really great play all around. But yeah, just the ETC play in particular just really stands out. So I guess we are going to go ahead and start getting ready for the second game. I will find out which map Snipe Squad wants, and I will let you all know that. Let's see here. Let's change my scene. So I'm not going to mute the microphone this time because I've learned I can't trust myself. So. And by the way, Super Jova is right. Everyone plays Chair League. Everyone should play Chair League. Everyone should absolutely play. Here, let me get the overlay updated too, so the score is properly reflected. So hey, for the first time, Shadow Brotherhood beats Snipe Squad, so both teams are completely undefeated in Cheer League, no more. Okay, so I've just been informed that the second map is going to be Cursed Hollow. So far, this is shaping up to be, aside from the outcomes, in terms of the maps, a duplicate of the grand finals. So I'm just going to get that all set up for you guys right here, right now. But yeah, hope you guys liked that first match. I know I sure did. So just getting the draft all set up. Getting the links up. So Super Joe is saying get Cloud9 in. What I think is really funny is that there's a team in placement matches called Cloud8, which I think is very funny. I think it's very clever. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and get the lobby set up, and we should have the draft underway shortly. Almost done getting this all set up, and the links given out. See, I think if Cloud8 was like a really aggressive team, they really thought well of themselves, they would have named themselves Cloud10. They wouldn't have been Cloud8 -1. They would have been Cloud9 +1. I think they should have done that. I think they should have been super ballsy. I think they should have been like, man, Cloud9 is one less than us. So I was still trying to get everyone into the lobby. I think they might be having Discord issues again. Not sure. Not sure. But I thank you all for watching. I hope you're enjoying the stream so far. Hope you're enjoying these good games. And good names. There actually has been discussion about good names, so... Yeah, there were a lot of really interesting named teams last season. A couple that our team played against was like Moist Encounters and like Moist Brotato. It's like a lot of moisture in all the teams last year. Last season. Oh, jeez. There I am doing it again. I think when my mic was muted at the beginning, I had this whole spiel about. Like, I keep saying, like, oh my god, it's last year's champions, but really, it was the last season's. I mean, it's just like a few weeks ago this all concluded, so. Yes, they are a humble folk. Cloud8 is a humble folk. Oh. Okay, apparently the draft is going, but no one's in the lobby? Yeah. Okay, let me get this draft up for you, and then get you up to speed, and get myself up to speed. Okay, so apparently Li Ming was banned out first by Shadow Brotherhood, which... Don't blame her. So now all of a sudden it's like we're really back to last week's meta where Illidan and Li Ming were banned out first. So Li Ming banned out by Shadow Brotherhood, Illidan banned out by Snipe Squad, and then Thrall picked up by Shadow Brotherhood. So they're gonna have that very, very strong engagement hero. Really good solo laner. And then Falstad picked up by Snipe Squad. Really good on this map. This is such a large map that global mobility is really heavily favored. Allows you to get a lot more soaking in than other less mobile characters. Yeah, if a tribute comes up in the top lane and you're in the bottom lane, you can soak the bottom lane to your heart's content, and then as soon as the tribute pops, fly in and help your team out. But Greymane is picked up for Shadow Brotherhood, a character I've been enjoying a lot recently. A really fun character, great auto attacks, and then he has the burst on top of that. So, yeah, if you don't have a burst assassin on your team, he can really fill that role nicely. And then he's so great at wave clear, especially after level 20 when he picks up Hunter's Blunderbuss. His basic attacks will just basically clear out a wave. Like 3 basic attacks and a wave is cleared. It's ridiculous. And especially good on this map. If you have a curse going, it just takes 1 auto attack and you can clear out a wave. And you get all that XP, you get that wave pushed out. Well, they also pick up Vala, so really no shortage of damage coming out for Shadow Brotherhood. Thrall is going to put out a lot of damage, Greymane's going to put out a lot of damage, and Vala is as well. So I think it's safe to say they have their assassins all set. So Snipe Squad, they have to ban out probably a support or a warrior. It might make sense to ban out Brightwing. But they actually go ahead and ban out Uther. Interesting. They could be worried about what I like to call the Divine Mosh Pit. So yeah, I mean with the last 2 picks, Shadow Brotherhood could pick up ETC and Uther. And just basically have a completely unstoppable mosh pit. A dance party where everyone is invited. And wise of them to ban out Uther to prevent that, but Burden is banned out by Shadow Brotherhood. So far, no warriors picked up. I don't think that's going to continue to be the case. Yeah, and there goes ETC. So, picked up by Snipe Squad. Not really much in terms of interrupts for Mosh Pit, by the way. Thrall does have Sundering, but that's about it. Vala could pick up Reign of Vengeance. But this time Tassadar and Tyrande are picked up by Snipe Squad. And Lily comes out for Shadow Brotherhood. The never ever before seen in a pro or tournament match Lily. Wow. Interesting. And I wonder if they're going to pick up for their second pick. Because here's what has me intrigued. Is there a scenario here where we could see the newly buffed Water Dragon? It's going to be Artanis! I want to make sure that this draft is for real. Okay, no one is saying anything about like, oh, this, our draft isn't working. Oh my god. So apparently these are legit picks. These are real. But Artanis and Lily for the last 2 picks for Shadow Brotherhood. Well, those are characters you see every day in pro level play. Yeah, I'm really hoping for some Water Dragon. I'm hoping for like Sundering into Water Dragon into Purifier Beam. Something insane like that. And then like Executioner taken by Vala and Greymane. Just everyone just being deleted. But Sonya is going to be the final pickup for Snipe Squad. So I'm thinking what interrupts they have for Jugs. Falstad, he gets a stun, I think at level 16. ETC, Power Slide, Mosh Pit. Sonya, if she takes a leap, if she hits Leah with an Ancient Spear, Tyrande can Lunar Flare her out of it. But Lily is such a squirrely character. I don't think people realize how squirrely she is. Might be difficult to land any of those things on her if she goes. If she goes Jug of 1,000 Cups. If she even goes that, she may very well opt for Water Dragon. We shall see. But very, very interesting drafts from both teams. Really excited to see this. So, you know, Shadow Brotherhood, they do have a 1-0 lead. So I think they can afford to take some liberties. Maybe experiment a little bit. And it's going to be interesting to see if this this pays off. A lot of times you do see teams experiment and then it doesn't work out. But anyway, we're just waiting on the lobby to fill up for both teams. It's looking like Thailand is participating in this match. Shadow Brotherhood swapping up their roster a little bit. Very cool, very cool. Saw that happen too in the grand finals for Season 1. You would have certain players playing in Game 1, and then they decide to switch things up in Game 2. So just waiting on one more for a Snipe Squad. Will it be a Rafflecopter? Will it be not Rafflecopter? Well, we shall see. If you guys wanted some comps that were out of the ordinary, here you go. I think this is the first time I've ever seen Lily played in a match of this level. Almost never see her. Trying to think, who else do you like almost never see? I think Arthas these days. I mean, Chen has a place. You actually see Chen quite a bit. Chen is actually a great. No, whoops. Make sure. Alright, cool. I think we're ready to go. But Chen, I mean, he really has a place as a diving hero. So, I mean, Chen, he can do his leaping kick behind the target he wants, and then do his wandering keg. And I can say as a Morales player, that drives me crazy. But the lobbies are all set, so we are going to get started here in just a moment.
From order comes justice.
Alright, here we go. Game 2 is getting underway. So we have Enjoy on Tyrande, Diamond once again on Sonya, Castle Bravo on Falstad, Peneth on Tassadar, and Tommy Shark on ETC. And All Stars is going to be on Artanis, Squirrel on Lily, Thailand on Thrall, Chrissy Low on Vala, and Genre on Greymane. You know, one thing I noticed about both these teams in the grand finals, a lot of these players are incredibly flexible. Yeah, I mean, last game you saw Genre playing Tassadar, a support, and here you have him playing Greymane, not a support, a very kind of a burst assassin. Yeah, and then Chrissy Low, I'm pretty sure she's like their flex player, but just plays all sorts of roles and plays them all very well. I've seen her play Tyrande before, playing Vala. Oops. Ah. What are you doing, mouse? Alright, this is going to be game number 2 between Snipe Squad and Shadow Brotherhood.
Heroes.
But Vala, interesting. It looks like she's going to be going with the multi-shot build.
10 seconds.
It has fallen out of favor a little bit.
5,
They did nerf that, and then they did buff her auto attack build.
1.
So her multi-shot does seem to be less of her go-to build, but you are seeing it here. It looks like Snipe Squad, they're thinking about making very aggressive flank. Waiting for someone to get out of position, but I think Shadow Brotherhood, I think they're going to be smart and not take the bait, but they decide to all come out of nowhere. The bush party has been sprung, and they have their sights set on Thrall, and down he goes. So, first kill of the game goes down for Snipe Squad. They're not going to get too much of that in terms of an experience advantage, but in terms of the psychological advantage, it really sets the tone early. Let Shadow Brotherhood know we mean business. Chrissy, though, thinking about maybe further harassing Falstad, but I have a feeling he's probably not going to go down. But Squirrel, gonna be very squirrely on Lily, get out of there. Lily is a very difficult character thanks to her trait to actually kill. When she takes damage, she speeds up and she can just basically run away almost for free. It takes a lot of CC to lock her down, so she can't use that trait of hers and get away. But she is going to be fine for the time being. Lily is really being aggressive. She's really being far out in the lane, which, by the way, I think is the right thing for her to be doing. Lily is very difficult to deal with at the beginning, but with Water Dragon and even her auto attack, she can really be quite a lane bully, which is kind of surprising. But in the top lane, we do see it's ETC and Thrall, but I think this is really smart. This is really smart by both teams. Right at the 2-minute mark, they're in position to pick up the Siege Giants. We see Artanis and Chrissy Low on Vala picking theirs up, whereas Sonya, I thought she was soloing it, but she actually has Enjoy on Tyrande helping her out. But she's Sonya, she didn't really need the help. But the location of this tribute, this is lucking out for Shadow Brotherhood. They have the Giants pushing in the bottom lane, which means that because the tribute is in the top lane, Snipe Squad is going to be pretty much unable to deal with the Giants. But so far, Thailand on Thrall is in a lot of trouble, and down he goes. So the Shadow Brotherhood, they might have the Giants advantage, but they don't have the team advantage. They lost Thrall, probably not going to be able to take this tribute, and it is looking like Peneth on Tassadar is going to pick it up. So, unfortunate for Thrall. Thrall having a rough time this game. Already getting picked off twice. But Snipe Squad, again, they don't have too much to show for it. Maybe a slight XP lead, but Squirrel in some trouble on Lili. That's how absent Lili has been from the meta. It's like once I start saying Lee, like my mouth just automatically goes to Ming. But going to survive and going to pick off Sonya. So first kill of the game for Shadow Brotherhood. But Falstad using that gold mobility, just quickly getting back into the bottom lane.
I grow tired of your
The next tribute is up, and it's going to be in the top lane.
in my favor.
We see everyone making their way up, except Falstad because he can just fly in, because he's a good hero. He's good in this game, but All-Star is using a clever phase prism to get out of trouble. That phase prism, like, not only can it be used offensively, but it's also one of the few tools Artanis has to get out of trouble, but Thailand in a lot of trouble again, may go down. No, but it's actually ETC who falls, and Lily falls too. I was so focused on Thrall getting so low, I didn't even realize that Lily must have been taking some big damage too. And I don't think Shadow Brotherhood is going to be able to stay here. They don't have their healer, but okay. They don't have their healer, but I guess Snipe Squad didn't have their tank, so I guess I can kind of see them backing off. But we are actually seeing Greymane get down here first, before Falstad. But don't think Falstad missing out on any kind of soak. But Squirrel with, once again, the aggressive Lily play. I like it. I don't know if people realize just how much of a bully Lily can be, but surely can be one-on-one. But Greymane is probably going to be bullied out of this lane by Falstad. But in comes Artanis. But Falstad is going to barrel away. No Phase Prism is going to go down by Artanis to help ensure Falstad's demise. Probably realized he wouldn't be able to catch him. But Lily is blown up once again. And he's not the only one in trouble. Genre in trouble too. Probably did not have disengage up. Which, as a Greymane player, I know all of the all the woes that Greymanes face. Not being able to get out of your Worgen form in time. Well, after that 3-for-0 trade, Snipe Squad decided, you know what, we're going to help ourselves to your Siege Giants. They've decided those belong to us now. But while they were doing that, unbeknownst to them, I think this boss may be snuck. Oh no, they're choosing to back off. They didn't believe. I think they could have finished it. I don't think it was that they were too low. I think it was just that they were worried they would be invaded and that they wouldn't be able to finish it off in time. Well, I'm not sure Thrall knows the danger he's in, but he did a good job. Did not overextend. Stayed right in front of the gates and was able to get out of there. But Chrissy Lowe is going to Hearthback. Going to ignore the brew that Lily is throwing her way. Which I think is smart. She needed mana, so. That happens to me all the time as a support player, as a support main. I see someone hearthing, I heal them, and then they're just like, yeah, I needed mana. And I'm like, good call. But Sundering goes down by Thrall, but it is not going to save him. Fortunately, his rough day continues, and he is picked off once again, but Jugs goes down by Lily, and Squirrel using his squirrely abilities as Lily to avoid the Luna Flare, but Mosh Pit goes down, and Greymane is going to fall. So a 2-man Mosh Pit results in 1 secured kill. And Shadow Brotherhood is in a lot of trouble. Lily is going to fall again. Great Force Wall goes down by Penneth. And All-Stars is in some trouble. He falls. So this is just really snowballing in favor of Snipe Squad. So far, unfortunately, the experimental picks of Lily and Artanis so far not paying dividends. But a big root goes down on Falstad. The Dark Flight by Greymane seals the deal. Greymane literally beasted on him. He literally turned into a beast and jumped on him. But it's looking like this top fort is going to fall. And the bottom fort is going to be okay. Usually on the first curse you want to see 2 forts go down. That's kind of the goal. But the fact that Shadow Brotherhood was able to protect both of those For now, they were able to protect it. That fort is certainly going to go now because the boss is picked up by Snipe Squad. Yeah, it did seem like it was a little bit weak of a curse. It's like, hey, you guys probably should have gotten more than that, but they went ahead and grabbed the boss. So, which I think was a smart thing to do. They were able to go grab that while the lane minions were being dealt with by Shadow Brotherhood, and they're gonna go for a second one. It's looking like no, but they're gonna go for the Bruiser camp, and may catch Vala, who is just poked her head in a little bit too far, and Vala is going to go down. And they have this camp pushing. With Vala down, are they going to take it? No. Whoever the shot caller is on Snipe Squad has made the decision to not take it, which I think is smart. No reason to go for it, and possible throw pit. But great juke of the Phase Prism by Tommy Shark. Pro tip to anyone watching out there: for a lot of characters, do not walk away from them in a straight line. They have abilities that will snatch you up, and you can dodge them if you kind of move in like a serpentine kind of fashion. Kind of like Tommy Shark did there. That's why he's the pro division, folks. But Artanis is a character like that. Kerrigan is a big one. Yeah, you can sidestep her little combo. You just kind of have to be ready for it. Tehran is another character like that, but here comes Falstad, a big gun. Falstad may have been a little bit aggressive, but Mighty Gus is going to save his life, along with the great Force Wall by Peneth. And Vala is going to end up being picked off. So it was looking like Falstad was going to maybe be in a big heap of trouble, like maybe he was a little bit aggressive. Literally used his Z to go into the entire enemy team, but I managed to get out of there alive. And now they're going for the boss, which is very ballsy. They have Artanis and Thrall right up there. They have Lily and Greymane down there, and Vala's about to be back up. But Tommy Shark going to go out there and distract them. And yeah, the boss is going to be secured. And there's really no other camp that can be picked up, so they're choosing to go ahead and push with this boss, which I think is very smart. They have a level 16 talent advantage. They they have the superior comp, but Sundering goes down by Thrall, but unfortunately for him, there's no capitalization off of that. No Water Dragon went down after that. So he just kind of stunned everyone on the other team for just a little bit, but Mosh Pit goes down on Lily. She is blown up. Could this be game? This early? No, probably not. Probably not. The boss is awful low, and the death timers just aren't long enough this early in the game, so they're going to choose to go ahead and get the tribute. Not expecting too much in terms of a fight here. In fact, Falstad decided, you know what, I'm just going to... You guys got this, you don't need me. I'm going to go ahead and soak this bottom lane. So we now have a 2 full level advantage for Snipe Squad. They are on the same talent tier as Shadow Brotherhood, but... I didn't think they were going to be able to pick up this this fort. No one's really around defending it other than Lily and Vala, perhaps? But they're going to back off, which I think is smart. They don't know for sure where everyone else is. I do, because I can see everything. But they didn't know for sure. I think they knew the camp was picked up, and They didn't know how many people were there getting that, so wisely choose to back off. They are posturing for the boss.
Or face my curse. The choice is
Baiting the boss press, but yeah, a very wise multi-shot goes down by like Crucilo and Vala. She crashed the bush party. But even though they're down 2 full levels, they really have no choice but to contest this tribute. But giant power slide mosh pit goes down. 3 people caught in there. Crucilo does what she can to damage ETC, but not enough. 3 members of her team will fall, and possibly 4. I think the Mighty Gus actually missed, but it's not going to matter. Artanis is going to fall anyway. That is going to be a 4-man wipe.
under attack.
And ETC he's going for core. Probably not going to be able to do too much with it just being him there. In fact, he might be in danger of maybe getting picked off by Vala. Not too sure what he's thinking. I mean, if a Hungry Arrow goes down, not even needed. Just the regular basic attack finished him off. I don't know. That's honestly a little puzzling to me. I mean, I don't know why he had to rush in there without his team. Maybe Discord's down? Who knows? Who knows? I sure don't. But now, instead of being able to end the game, now, I mean, there's a bit of a momentum shift in terms of Shadow Brotherhood. Basically, Snipe Squad has just thrown 3 tributes away. Without having their tank, they really can't engage in any kind of team fights. And they just kind of have to wait until he's up. And Shadow Brotherhood, they sense this, and now all of a sudden they're being incredibly aggressive. And they're stealing the Bruiser camp from Snipe Squad. Really great stuff. Really ballsy shot calling.
My curse subsides. For now.
So they're now deciding to back off. Might be backing off a little bit too much because now they're opening up the chance for Snipe Squad to take their boss. But they did have to go back and deal with the lane pressure from the curse, so probably wasn't too much. It probably couldn't be ignored. But boss is picked up by Snipe Squad, and the boss top has just come up, so they can now rotate up there and take that if they want. Shadow Brotherhood would have to be really aggressive to ignore it. But speaking of aggressive, Castle Bravo flies in to try and pick off Thrall. But Moshpit is down on Greymane. He is going to fall, but Tyrande is going to fall as well. So far, a 1-for-1 trade. But this is actually a horrible trade for Shadow Brotherhood because the boss is starting to beat on that bottom keep. But it's looking like ETC may fall. But Thrall... Okay, so ETC falls. Thrall falls as well. It's looking like Shadow Brotherhood, they're winning the team fight, but... I mean, that boss, I mean, it's going to take the keep. And I don't think they're going to catch Falstad. Not going to catch Sonya. So, I mean, they kind of barely won the team fight, but at what cost? They lost the keep. Probably no more damage is going to be done to the core, but... Yeah, I'm not sure that was a trade in Shadow Brotherhood's favor. But at least they did close the experience gap a little bit. At least they're close to 20 now as a result of those kills. Snipe Squad got some more XP too from the kills and the keep, but it's not as impactful for them because they were already level 20 or close.
Shall we see who gathers enough tribute this time?
But another tribute is coming up in the top lane. And level 20 is reached for Shadow Brotherhood, so they're in position to fight this on even footing. They're going to deal with the Siege Giants real quick. But Vala is separated from the rest of her team. Doing a great job of denying Sonya, but couldn't get her that time. Thought maybe a Hungering Arrow might come out to stop it. But so far both teams are 2 tributes away from Curse, but in comes ETC. The mosh pit was interrupted by something, but down goes Lily. So even though the mosh pit there didn't get too much done, it still ended up in Lily going down, but another aggressive mount from Falstad and Mighty Gust, but I think it was Thrall was able to blink out of there. So Artanis did what he could to stop the boss from being taken by Snipe Squad, but fortunately it is not going to work, as he is going to fall. Thrall in a lot of trouble. Thailand falls on Thrall. Yeah, there he goes. Chrissy Lowe is going to use her vault to escape, but with 3 members down, this could be game. Yeah, is Vala? I don't think she's gonna get away. She's not. Vala falls, and that is going to be game. So with that team fight there, Snipe Squad is going to tie it up 1-1, and we're going to go through the 3rd and final game. No, well played game by both teams.
Victorious.
You know, I think ETC once again, for a different team this time, but ETC once again really made a huge impact, and I think played a huge role in winning that game. Lots of really big power slides and mosh pits by him. Really, they did a great job. Even though the team didn't have as much damage, I'd take that back. It's probably pretty close. But top damage to go over to Vala. But yeah, I think there was probably more damage on the side of Shadow Brotherhood. So yeah, so it is a tie score now. So I'm being told by one of the members of Snipe Squad that one of their other members is taking a quick break. Oh, I haven't changed the scene over, so you can all see that. So, oh yeah, you know what, Suzumaki? That's a great point. I do need to ask that ETC, like what was with that? What was with the solo cow core push? Yeah, I do not understand what that was all about. I mean, that sounds like one of those like quick match things where it's like you know, someone goes in just without any communication, just like goes to core, and then they die, and they're just like, team. Why didn't you all just blindly follow me? What's going on, guys? So. So both teams taking just a little quick break here, but looks like there are a bunch of you watching now, which is awesome. Glad you're watching now instead of when my mic was muted earlier, so that's good. But I am being told that the next map is going to be Infernal Shrines, so awesome. I'm going to get that all set up. But yeah, both teams taking just a little quick break, and they'll be right back. Actually, I take that back. It's just Snipe Squad who's taking a break, so it's okay. But yeah, in any case, we'll have round 3 up here very shortly. So yeah, I mean, as expected, this is a very competitive match so far. I'm glad to see this kind of going back and forth to some degree. You know, it's for one, it's more exciting. It's good to have more more matches played, just more exciting, more great matches to watch. So I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. I know I am. I don't think EU has anything like Cheer League. I think it's just us lucky people in the States and North America. So I consider myself lucky to not only playing it but cast it as well. So it's a very cool thing that Super Jova has going on here. So be sure to thank him. Be sure to head on over to what is it, shop.cheerleague.com. Pick up one of these Cheer League shirts. I do think I don't know if it was Keldor, if he was thinking about starting one or just like, I think he might have said something like, hey, if there is something like that set up for this, I'll cast for it, which is really cool. But I'm going to go ahead and get the draft going here for Infernal Shrines for game number 3. Hopefully both teams are almost ready to go here. Well, I'm sad that that other comp didn't work out. That experimental comp. For anyone just joining us, we just had a match with Lily and Artanis for Shadow Brotherhood. Sadly, predictably, it did not work out. I was hoping to see Water Dragon, but it was cups. It was cups. Alright, just handing out the draft links right now, and then we should be good to go. But, I've heard lots of demand for something like Cheer League in the EU. It does seem like that's something that's asked a lot. Is there something like this in the EU? So, it sounds like there's probably demand for that. So it sounds like eventually someone might start something over in the EU that's kind of similar to Cheer League here. But in any case, the draft is ready. So this map is going to be Infernal Shrines. So right away we see Illidan banned out. Apparently, despite the nerfs, he's still completely OP. What I think is probably the case, it's probably not that Illidan is still, like, Illidan, Li Ming, and Falstad are just super godlike. They're probably not super godlike, but the game is probably much more balanced than it used to be, and people just don't know who's, like, overpowered right now. Like, people haven't figured out, like, who's still amazing. People are still, I think they're still trying to figure out the patch, who's really good. So because no one has emerged, it's like, oh wow, this character's really OP. People are just kind of defaulting to the old meta of who to ban out and everything. But Sonya's banned out for by Shadow Brotherhood. I think that's smart. They're both very similar characters, and Sonya I think is very good on this map. She's very good at clearing the creeps and the shrines. So. But it is going to be, and it's going to be Zul for Snipe Squad. Excellent. And then Li Ming for Shadow Brotherhood without any hesitation. But two very strong heroes. Now, Zul, I don't think his race skeleton applies to the creeps and the shrines. But with his cursed strikes, his W, he can clear them out very quickly. Just doesn't get any skeletal bonuses off of that. But Li Ming picked up. And Murden picked up as the warriors, so very strong comp so far. I don't think Shadow Brotherhood is revealing anything about their particular strat or comp. It's like, who doesn't want Li Ming and Murden on their team? But Falstad picked up for Snipe Squad. This is another map that's strong for Falstad. Really great at clearing the waves and really great global presence and mobility. So he can finish off a shrine, fly to one of the other lanes, or he can do the opposite. He can finish off a lane and then come to the shrine and help. And just really help his team have that XP lead and have higher health and deal out more damage and just have a big edge in team fights. You know, yeah, I don't think people put enough emphasis on level leads. There's a lot of emphasis, I feel, on talent tier leads, but I don't think people respect level leads enough. That's just kind of my thoughts. I see so many team fights where it's like, oh, this team's at a higher level, and that team seems like they almost always win. I mean, it's even more pronounced if they have a talent tier lead, but Kalthos! We have the Prince of Fire, the Sun Prince, whatever his official title is. But we have him coming into a match. I haven't seen him in a pro match or anything recently. Welcome back, KT. Except, I don't welcome you back, as I don't like you. I never have. Who likes being set on fire and then having to dodge everything? But ETC is banned out by Shadow Brotherhood. Which I think is smart. KT has a couple different builds, and I think all of them are pretty much good with Mosh Pit. First, I mean Mosh Pit and a double Flame Strike, and that's going to do a lot of damage. But Tassadar is banned out by Snipe Squad. I'm not sure they would go Tassadar here. They don't have Sonya or Illidan, who are like the primary beneficiaries of Tassadar's shields. But they decided to ban him out. Tassadar has been doing work for both teams tonight. But they've also had Tyrande with that Tassadar. And would Shadow Brotherhood pick up Tyrande here? I'm not sure. They probably could. I mean, she goes well with Li Ming. She goes well with Muradin. So, yeah, I could see that. So, waiting on 2 more picks from Shadow Brotherhood. Really dipping deep into their time pool. But it's going to be Rhaegar, which is going to give them the reset. They now have another 30 seconds to make a pick. La la la. Probably needs maybe a specialist, maybe a bruiser, maybe a thrall. So they do have a strong solo laner, someone who can really sustain themselves and during the shrine fights. Someone who Rhaegar doesn't have to worry so much about healing. But solid pickup. I mean, Thrall's also great for engaging on an enemy team that's already at a shrine. He can just kind of show up, throw out Sundering, and ruin their life. Which is not as effective as it used to be, with only a second and a quarter of stun. Whereas Sundering used to do a second and a half, so. But Johanna picked up for Snipe Squad. I don't know how much I like the pick. There's really nobody with any kind of powerful auto attacks on Shadow Brotherhood, so you're not going to need a lot of value out of her shield glare. But regardless, she is still a solid warrior. But Brightwing is going to be the final pickup for Snipe Squad. Seeing a lot of Brightwing in these games. Brightwing really doing a great job. You know, Brightwing is a support that's really risen in the meta in past few months. I'm not totally sure why that is. But Lily is going to be picked up once again by Shadow Brotherhood. Interesting. Kind of curious that they would go back to Lily. Especially considering there are already a lot of stuns on the side of Snipe Squad. Johanna, Brightwing with her polymorph. KT with gravity lapse. Even Zul with bone prison. It's not going to interrupt cups, but it's going to force her to be very squirrely. But very interesting. Yeah, okay, Thrall is a decent auto attack hero, but I wouldn't put him in the same category as like a Rainer or something, or a Greymane, or even a Falstad. But we will be getting underway here with game number 3 shortly. Just waiting on 2 more to ready up, and then we'll be all set.
It is time.
All right, here we go. We're going into game number 3. Oops. That's not the right one. There we go. Alright, so it is going to be Enjoy on Falstad, Castle Bravo on Zul, Diamond on Kael'thas, Peneth on Brightwing, and Tommy Shark on Johanna. And it's going to be Chrissy Lowe on Leeming, Squirrel once again on Lily, Thailand on Rhaegar, All-Stars on Muradin, and Genre on Thrall. So, wait. Let me back up a second. So, Rhaegar and Lily? Are we going to see Water Dragon? Ooh, come on, I am praying for Water Dragon. By the way, I guess a Squirrel participated in Heroes of the Dorm. It's got that, got the Chen Scholar portrait. Very interesting. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how this, double support comp works against the double mage comp.
Prepare for battle, mortals.
Well, if Falstad builds for mage Falstad. So yeah, I'm interested to see what build Rhaegar goes with. If he's going to go the totem build or if he's going to go some kind of shield build. And he is going a shield. I think that's well, let me check real quick.
5, 4,
Such a Rhaegar noob. Okay, so that's the radius. I thought so.
begin.
So despite the nerfs, he is going with that. My computer would behave. But yeah, so oops. Bit of lag spike. This happens in the beginning sometimes. Oop. Okay, so yeah, so it looked like Johanna kind of went bottom. They knew they weren't going to have their full five-man squad in the middle, so they choose not to make a hard engagement. But it looks like it is going to be Thrall and Falstad in the top lane, and then probably a 4-man rotation in the middle and bottom lanes. But Lily still has not taken a talent. Very interesting. Who is it, Iacona, who doesn't take talents until like the very last second they're needed? Drives but Squirrel, not going to be squirrely enough, going to fall. The Great Bone Prison goes down by Castle Bravo. Manages to delete Lily. the talentless Lily, the very untalented Lily. But I think it was Iacona who like would not pick a talent up until like that talent was absolutely needed. But it is going to be you know, they changed all these icons. They would do it the 1 week where oh, long story, I'm not going to do it, but I had to change to the other display. So I don't have this nice bottom panel anymore. But I'm going to check real quick. That is... Okay, it looks like she's probably going to go Serpent build, but first shrine does come up in the bottom lane. So False Dead and Thrall, looks like they are going to stay top. But another Bone Prison goes down on Lily. They're really focusing her hard. If you can kill Lily, if you can lock her down and take her out, by all means do it. I would absolutely give the wave clear advantage to Snipe Squad. I mean, they have Johanna, they have KT, they have Brightwing, they have Zool. But they're actually getting bullied out of the shrine, like, really, really hard. I could be totally wrong on this, but my feeling... Hold that thought, because Muradin is in a lot of trouble. Manages the Dwarf Toss out of there just in time. I thought the Bone Prison was going to go off on him. But managed to get out of there just in time. But back to what I was saying, I kind of feel like double support has an early game advantage. Whereas later on, like once people get more talents, they have so many more ways to blow you up, and you just plain can't heal through it. Whereas in the beginning, everyone's offense is fairly weak, and I think the other shield talent, the one where the shield goes on you as well, I think that's probably a little bit better for wave clear. I don't know how I feel, but the first puncher of the game is going to go down for Snipe Squad. Leaps over the gate, right onto these three over here. It's looking like the wall is going to go down, but not too much more. So the reason I was kind of curious about the particular shield build that Rhaegar is going with, I think the other shield talent, the one where the shield goes on you as well, I think that's probably a little bit better for wave clear. So you'd be able to clear out the creeps and the shrines a lot faster. I don't think having the extra radius helps as much as just having an entirely second set of lightning shields. I could be wrong, but that's my feeling on it. But Chrysila gonna eat a lot of damage from that little KT combo. So KT no longer gets a damage increase if he uses the enhanced version of the Flame Strike. So you're seeing combos now where he just does the regular Flame Strike after a Gravity Lapse. But All-Star's looking to invade that camp, but not going to get there in time. But a lot of poking going on in these lanes. Both teams pretty even in XP. I mean, the difference in XP is maybe these towers. But hey, even that, now they're even, so... Guessing Discord might be down because instructions are being given to lane top over text. But the shrine is going to come up in the top lane. Gonna expect to see Brightwing to push down here as much as can, but no, she goes in because this camp is being invaded by Shadow Brotherhood, and that is going to backfire because Muradin and Thrall are going to go down. And an aggressive flight by Falstad. You know, I'm just so used to seeing Falstads fly over and then gust, but level 10 has not been reached, so... Not going to be able to do too much to pin Lily in. But as a result of that backfired invasion, probably going to see this top shrine go over to Snipe Squad. And they've also gotten a big XP lead out of it. The window where Shadow Brotherhood can hope to contest this is closing rapidly. In fact, Li Ming just died somewhere, and I think that just about seals it. Level 10 is going to be picked up by Snipe Squad. So this next Punisher is going to go over to the side of Snipe Squad. Just 2 more minions to go, and there it is. Meanwhile, all 3 lanes are being soaked by Shadow Brotherhood. And in goes the Punisher. But Zul gets rooted, so unable to get a good bone prison on Brawl, but he does get one on Muradin. And Muradin is going to go down. So far this double support team, this double support comp, unable to keep Muradin alive. And meanwhile, this Punisher is still going. He decided he hasn't had enough of beating the life out of this other team, so goes and pounds on him some more. But meanwhile, a little bit of pushing being done on this middle gate. This top tower is close to going down. It's not going to take much more for it to fall. But we do see level 10 picked up by Shadow Brotherhood. Lily has not picked a talent. It has been all serpents so far, so I'm hoping for the giant serpent. And again, they changed the damn icons, so it's Jugs! Why is it Jugs? Why? Why? I don't understand it. Oh, I'm so sad. I'm so sad. Alright, so no serpents tonight. Oh well. Maybe another time, guys. Apparently we need 2 full supports with full support ults, but oh well. But Johanna out a little bit too far. She does have her trait, which is going to probably get her out of there. Oh, but a perfectly timed Stormbolt by All-Stars. And Johanna is in trouble, but Brightwing phase shifts in just in time to keep her up. The Ancestral goes down on Muradin along with the Jugs, so everyone is back up to 100% health, just about, on Shadow Brotherhood. But just when all those ults go down, a shrine is now coming up. So there will be no Ancestral, no Jugs probably. Don't believe Avatar was popped, but so we do see level 13 reached by Snipe Squad, and that has not been reached by Shadow Brotherhood. So they're deciding to just get the camp instead, but that is incredibly dangerous when Snipe Squad is right nearby. And they decide just, you know what, we've decided this is ours now. Thank you. We appreciate you whittling these down a little bit for us, but we can take it from here. And they decide to take the camp. And all Shadow Brotherhood can really do is just kind of soak the lanes and clear out the camp. But here comes the Frozen Punisher for Shadow Brotherhood. Wonder if they're all going to push with this or if they're going to try and soak some more. They do have an experience lead, but Bless Shield goes down on Chrissy Low, and she is going to fall. And they're looking at more. They're looking at getting Lily too. The Bone Prison goes down on her, but Cleanse comes down from Rhaegar, and then she's able to get the Jugs off. Big Ancestral goes down on Lily. I think she seems too low for having gotten Ancestral, but yeah. But that is a 2-for-0 trade. They also get the fort, and they might not be done because the Punisher is very angry. Okay, the Ancestral think it went down on Thrall before, but he died before it went off, so. But the Ancestral does come off after the 10-second cooldown, but another Bone Prison going down on Lily, but probably not going to be able to do too much with that. She does use her squirreliness to get far enough away that once the Bone Prison pops, she's back at a safe distance. But the chase is coming down from Shadow Brotherhood, going after Johanna. Don't think they're going to get her. The Poison Nova goes down, so if they want to chase, they have to run right through the Nova, and I'll take a ton of poison damage. But Shadow Brotherhood, they say, you know what, we have 2 supports. We're not phased by your Poison Nova. It does not amuse us, and they keep chasing, but unfortunately for them, not able to secure a kill. And Snipe Squad is going to escape unscathed. In fact, they're also going to escape with the bottom siege camp. It's looking like the other camp's probably going to be picked up as well. Shadow Brotherhood, they're going to pick up their own Bruiser camp, and Snipe Squad, they have the exact same idea. Great minds think alike, and they both get their Bruiser camp at the same time. Meanwhile, maybe a bit of a scuffle down the bottom. So Bone Prison goes off on Murden, but he's going to jump away and not only tap, so he can heal up while he's in the prison. He's saying, "Hey, I'm rooted here. I have nothing better to do. May as well tap the well." But Snipe Squad, they're being aggressive. They have level 16. They're looking for an invasion. They're looking for a pick. And they're probably not going to get one. Shadow Brotherhood, they are alerted to their presence. But Murden is running in there. He is unfazed by the gravity lapse. But Jugs is popped really early. Like, I don't think anyone even had any damage on them. Bit of a preemptive one, but the Ancestral goes off just in time on Murden, and he's kept up. But Murden is running in there. He is unfazed by the gravity lapse. But Jugs is popped really early. Like, I don't think anyone even had any damage on them. Bit of a preemptive one, but the Ancestral goes off just in time on Murden, and he's kept up. So the Poison Nova has been totally canceled out. Murden just needs a little bit of healing to get it all back. Same with Li Ming. But Li Ming is out of mana. She's backing. Meanwhile, Murden just kind of keeping watch. Being a good scout for his team. Of course, Zul is doing the same thing. Okay, so Lily's back. She's gotten all of her mana. And more importantly, level 16 has been, well, maybe not more importantly, but level 16 has been reached by them, so they can definitely fight this on somewhat even footing. Now, they're down heavily in the minion count, so they've got to win a decisive team fight here if they want to take the Punisher. And so far, it's not looking good so far. They're kind of boxing out Snipe Squad, but they need something more decisive than that if they want to secure the shrine. If they just box them out, Snipe Squad could easily snipe the last few minions that they need, and ultimately get the Punisher, but they're actually being zoned out really well. But I think Falstad actually ended up backing, getting fully topped off, and now here he is with full health and full mana. And I suspect this is not going to end well for Shadow Brotherhood. Another Bone Prison goes down on Murden. Decides, you know what, I'm good. I don't even need to Dwarf Toss out of here. But hey, as predicted, the last few creeps are sniped by Snipe Squad, and they are going to get another Punisher. And they're also going to get another Bone Prison on Murden. His means of escaping and surviving just reached their limit, and Murden ends up falling. Thrall is going to fall as well. Chrissy Lowe, maybe... No, she's going to be fine. But meanwhile, this Punisher is marching down. Rhaegar ends up falling. The Punisher just beating him into submission. Locking him down. But this keep is going to fall. They might be able to end here. There's 3 who are down. Mert is going to be down for another 10 seconds, and they're focusing on the core. This Punisher has 50% health left. That's going to be game. That's going to be game. And that is going to be GG. And Snipe Squad takes it 2-1. Wow. Wow. You know what? I chalk it up to lack of Water Dragon. That's what I chalk it up to. No, it's... I mean, seriously, the pressure from... The pressure from Snipe Squad was just relentless. I mean, the aggressive Bone Prison, they kept putting him on Lily, they kept forcing him to retreat. They also kept putting him on Murden, and eventually he was just overwhelmed. Even though Shadow Brotherhood had 2 supports, they couldn't keep up. Eventually, they couldn't, because they had 2 supports and not enough offense, they couldn't ever just fully get the kills they needed, and eventually they just got worn down. You know, especially during that, you really saw that at that top shrine fight. You know, they kind of poked out and zoned out Snipe Squad for a whole bunch, but Falstad was able to just hearth back, fully recover his health mana, fly right back into the fight, and then they could just absolutely bully Shadow Brotherhood. You know, they were able to refresh their health and mana better. They were able to deal out a lot more damage, and once the ults were used by Shadow Brotherhood to heal, they didn't have much left. I mean, we just saw poor Murden just get overwhelmed there at the end. Yeah, just Bone Prison after Bone Prison. You know, he just kept using you know, all of his avatars, Stone Form, Dwarf Toss to get out of Bone Prison, and eventually he just ran out of gas. You know, he just couldn't hold up. So that poor Dwarf. Yeah, let me switch over to this. But yeah, I mean, I do think that was a, you know, oh jeez, I didn't even realize that was 10-0 in terms of kills and deaths for Snipe Squad. No kills from Shadow Brotherhood, which yeah, I just don't think there was enough offense on the team. You know, picking 2 full supports and 2 support heroics. You know, I mean, it's gonna help draw the fights out longer, but you're gonna be able to sustain there longer. But if you can't ever get kills, that's a problem. You're just kind of delaying the inevitable at that point. And I think it's what we ended up seeing with Shadow Brotherhood. So anyway, well, that was a great game. That was an absolute pleasure to cast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think it was a very competitive game. I'm glad that went 2-1. I kind of feel like there were some shortcomings in the draft for Shadow Brotherhood. I thought second game they were being a little bit cute. And then I don't feel like they got away from that in the third game. I think they were still being a little cute. I don't know. I kind of feel like, you know, it's a draft that ultimately cost them the set. But so Snipe Squad, they won grand finals in the last season against Shadow Brotherhood. They won 2-0, and this time they won again, and 2-1. So congratulations to them. They're starting off season 2 undefeated, just like they started season 1 off undefeated. So they got a target on their head now. So anyway, well, that is going to do it for me tonight. I thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed my casting, you know, if you enjoyed all this, please subscribe. I would love to cast more matches for you. Hope you guys are around to watch. The audience always makes it better. The more people watching, the more the merrier. So I hope we can all have fun and enjoy some good games. But hey, it's been a pleasure for me. If there are any other streams going, I could host them. I will check the Chair League site, and I will if there's anything going on, I will host it for you. So anyway, thanks guys. Pleasure.